we're not training the next generation for biblical, strong biblical leadership, then there's no future for the evangelical movement.
Well, I wouldn't say the evangelical movement. I would say for the body of Christ.
The body of Christ.
Yeah.
Let's expand it to the body of Christ.
But you know how pastors come back to me? Not all. Some will come back to me. Come on, Josh, look, God will always have his witness. And I say, oh, like England, like Germany, like France, where now even Islam is larger than Protestant Christianity, evangelical Christianity. I said, like Sweden, like Norway. I said, well, not long ago, the largest church in the world was Westminster Chapel. Was it Chapel? Or there's three different ones. Westminster Chapel, about 20,000 people. Now you're fortunate to get several hundred out. And so I said, don't lean back and say God will always have his presence. Yes, he will. But how large will that presence be will often be how obedient we are and how we respond to his truth by faith and live it out and teach it. And so I just finally said, I want to draw upon 50 years. This is my 50th year in ministry to young people. I want to draw upon all of that of teaching truth in a way, and I think if somebody studies my life will see that it has worked, that people have responded to it, has had a major impact, and I'm grateful for that. But I said I want to take all that and I want to put it down where pastors, parents, leaders, seminary professors can have something in one resource that can take him from beginning to end. A mother just wrote me from Estonia that got a hold of the unshakable truth.
Wow.
And I just read the email this morning, and she said, please do a parent study guide for this. Because as I read it, I got chills and realized these are the 12 things I must pass on to Kai, my son.
Wow.
I thought, oh, if pastors would grasp that, what a difference it would make.
So let's talk specifically about the book, because basically, as you just described it, you have put together the 12 essentials. You're calling it 12 essentials of a relevant faith, or the 7 of the 12 things that Christians need not just to know, but to have instilled in their spirit to live a successful Christian life? Absolutely.
Even I'll take a step further. To pass on your faith to your children, to the younger generation. There's not one of these truths you can leave out. Not one of them. But here was the uniqueness thing of it, Jerry. When people talk about a worldview, a solid biblical worldview, what do you pass on to your children? When I finished this book, I said to my wife, oh, I wish I'd had this when our kids were young. I taught all this stuff, but it would have made it so much easier for me to have understood it and taught it to my own children in a more effective way. But almost everyone writing a book like this on worldview or anything, they go back to the New Testament church. I think that's a fallacy. I went back to the Council of Nicaea, around 325 AD, up to about 380 AD. You say, why? Well, up in about 125 to 160 AD, the time of Justin Martyr and all, there were only about 20,000 believers in the world in the first 100 years. Jerry, in the next 200 years, went up to 25 million. So I wanted to find out what was the difference from the early church to about, say, 150 AD and 150 AD to 325 AD. I discovered it. And even Justin Martyr back then said, we got a problem. We're not passing the faith on. It's nothing new, Jerry. And they instituted 12 basic truths in a unique manner in teaching them that went from 20,000 to 25 million. It was about, every generation, about 400% increase.
And it was about spiritual drill down. It was about
that's what you would say.
Down. Yeah.
And that's why I chose these 12 truths. But even more than that, it's how each one of those truths are taught that is key.
Well, but you know, and I want to talk about the truths in just a minute that you have in the book, but I'm sure that there are people watching the program right now who are making judgments. They're saying, why are our colleges not doing a better job of teaching our kids? Why is my pastor not doing a better job of teaching our kids?
That's a fallacy.
It is a fallacy, because the question would be, what is the person watching this program doing? And it appears to me that you have provided the tools for, you know, we talk a lot about the boomer generation, significant living. Shirley and I have written a book called Significant Living. We're really trying to get people 50 plus to pass on the legacy, to make sure they pass on the legacy. I can't imagine a better way to do that.
The passing on faith to your children is not the responsibility of the church, the youth group, the seminaries. It's your responsibility. And in raising my 3 daughters and a son, the church was a tool. The pastor was a resource.
The church is one of the vehicles. The church
right.
is one of the places.
The school is, whether Christian school or what, is one of the vehicles. But I am ultimately responsible for passing my faith on to my children. But here's the key thing, Jerry. I can be so profound, use all these principles, which I think are great in teaching it. But if my children do not see those 12 truths in my life, forget it, Daddy.
Yeah.
They'll believe what they see. They don't believe what they hear, if it's not contextualized.
There could be some fathers, grandfathers who would say, well, I don't know enough about it to teach my kids.
Then learn about it.
Well,
that's why I did the book.
Yeah, exactly. There's a double learning experience.
Well, that's why I want to help parents and
here.
grandparents and young fathers and all. Wow.
And we'll have more with Josh right after this. Stay tuned.